Hello, everybody. Today we're going to cover some British news. Yes? So, a little bit of a disclosure I am not British. So, maybe you should take my words with a pinch of salt, but don't throw your tea out of the window and close the video. Instead, I think you should listen to what I've got to say because there's some really interesting things going on when it comes to election funding in the UK. And for some reason, the Tories have most of the funding, which I guess ought not to surprise anybody. They've got all the big business and all the big industries under their control, since, well, obviously the business owners are Tories. But it just becomes so obvious when you look at these statistics, and you can see that the companies are all Tory. No companies vote for Labour. No, no, no. They would never have any sympathy with the working class. That is not the way they operate. And instead, the trade unions are the ones to fund labor. Where is labor with that gratitude when Mick Lynch speaks out and when the other trade unions are on strike? Where is labor showing their solidarity? They owe it to the trade unions. They really do. And yet Starmer doesn't do anything about it. Starmer does not side with the trade unions. Instead, he's openly, well, saying that he's a negotiator or whatever. The labor should side with the working man. And I think that, or women, of course. And I think that is what is important. But if we look at the conservatives, not only are their individuals much richer, they've got all the company support. They've got everything. Even the Lib Dems, I mean, they got at least some company support, unlike us in Labour. And really, it won't help with appealing with center rhetoric or whatever center economic policy. These companies will never vote for Labour. You should stop trying to appeal for them. The companies won't give any monetary support, no funding for Labour, and they won't help Labour because that's the way they operate. They're against the concept of socialism. They don't like it because it means that we will take wealth fairly and distribute it to the people who really need it. And they don't care for the people who need it, they care for themselves. And that's why they would never, ever start funding this thing more. No, because they are weaselly little liars, these billionaires. And they say that they are for all this green energy and that they are for climate change and stuff. But in truth, what they often do is try to stop our attempts to make a better world. And these people, we should not expect them to help us. We need to remember that these people care about themselves and themselves only. And it's proven right here. The companies are widely conservative. No companies for labor, which obviously we should not expect. We should stop trying to pander to these people. They're not worth pandering to. What we need to pander to instead is the British working man. And why are we not pandering to them? Well, I think it is because we are busy pandering to this big group here that we won't be able to pander to either way. So therefore, I think we should be a little bit more careful. But obviously, we also got the media. The media is obviously being a pain in the ass. We got some articles from the Sun here, and they are so bad at covering trade unions. They don't know anything what they're talking about, or at least they're not really stupid. I guess they're just fueling the narrative, the Tory narrative. The strikers are demons and trying to ruin Britain or whatever. And look at this opinion. I mean, it's quite obvious. Yeah, they're trying to frame here. If you were hoping for a return to normality in the new year, don't hold your breath. Yeah, this is obviously they're trying to frame the unions as the problem, which is why they're showing the unions, of course. And then they are like, yeah, trying to support the government or whatever. It's really frustrating. We always have to fight the media. We need to remember that the media, even if it's liberal media, will not be sympathetic to unions. There is media, but no mainstream media will be sympathetic to us. We are on our own. We need to appeal to our fellow people. We need to appeal to the fellow working class people. We're not trying to appeal for the company owners because the company owners are printing stuff like this. That's what they're doing. I mean, obviously, this person who wrote it, Mr. Craig, is obviously not personally one of these very rich people, but she's controlled by someone, which we will talk about later. You've got a spoiler up there. And it's really, really frustrating because they all always side with the company. And we need to remember this. For socialism, the company is not our friends. So stop pandering to them. It isn't working. We need to pander to the working class, and that is what Mick Lynch is doing. He's calling labor out for this, and that I give him a very big applause for. That is a very good decision. And yeah, they continue and they say many things that illegal unions, yeah, they probably like this. If this legislation passes, strikes will be deemed illegal if unions refuse to provide the agreed minimum level. Well, it's good that the unions aren't backing down. That's for sure. And the government is trying to legalize the unions. The Sun probably supports this. I mean, yeah, they won't openly say it, obviously, because it's who wants to side with this Tory dictatorship, anyways. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a media message. They're trying to overrun all the neutral news, all the people covering these unions, and they want to make anti-union propaganda. That's what this is. This is all anti-union propaganda. All anti-union. All anti-union. Look at this. Yeah, this is just so weird. Yeah, this is the thing. Nonetheless, I agree with Rishi. I have openly supported people's right to strike. Again, they're trying to pander here. They're trying to say that they're so neutral, but they aren't neutral. They're blaming the labor. How are they neutral? They're blaming the unions. And the government who's in charge, who's literally making all these laws and rulings and who have caused all this trouble is not being put to blame. How? How could you not put the government to blame here? Every reasonable person would put the government to blame. If economic troubles arise, it's usually going to be the government's fault. I mean, there can be many things. There can be inflation. Obviously, coronavirus would drive up the cost of living. But still, the fact that these people are blaming rail strikers instead of the government, how does that make any sense whatsoever when we've seen what Liz Truss did to the economy? Yeah, let me tell you quickly. She ruined it. That's what she did. No blame on Liz Truss. No blame on Rishi. No. They're all pro those billionaires. Not even talking about the fact that Rishi is one of the richest people in the UK and now he's prime minister. What is this country, dude? Coming from an outsider, I feel bad for you people. I really, really do feel bad for you people. Anyways, so yeah, there's another article here, and they say yeah, they're trying to blame this on the 70s again with the long night, well, long nightmare. Yeah, that's what they call it, of course. The militant unions. This is the way that they act. They act like we are the evil people. But we need to remember, this is all part of the narrative. They're all trying to demonize the unions. Look at these people. They're just ordinary people. And these people too. They're ordinary people. This whole framing of the winter of discontent, well, we can talk about that sometime, some else time, but it's so annoying and frustrating the way that they're trying to frame the unions. It's not the union's fault. That is for sure. And yeah, they're saying Union Milty wasn't dead, only sleeping. Yeah, well, that's good, I guess, because otherwise, with the Tories running this country, in 20 years, the working man would literally be, well, I can't say slave, but I guess serfs. That's probably what they want, anyways. Yeah, they're not very open about it, but why would they be? Really, though, We're lucky for the unions. We need to be grateful and we need to support them. They are doing good. They're doing very good for us. We need to remember this. Anyways, so then the owner of the Sun. Let's talk about him. Rupert Murdoch. Isn't he the most annoying billionaire out there? He owns Fox News, he owns The Sun, he owns The Times, The Daily Telegraph in Australia. This guy owns everything, dude. This guy owns all the terrible right wing media outlets. He owns them all. When this 91-year-old finally dies, I will be happy, and I'm gonna say it openly. I don't care. This guy has done so much harm. Fox News spreading disinformation in the USA. I mean, Fox News is probably could probably be held accountable for multiple of these right-wing fanatic shootings in the USA. And all of these have one thing in common. All of these news websites have one thing in common. The true goal isn't this whole, like, they aren't with this whole fascism thing. I guess that maybe some of them, they often appeal to fascist rhetoric for sure. I mean, he probably wouldn't mind being a fascist if it meant he could keep his corporation, but what really matters is he wants to keep his corporations. He wants to do like all the other billionaires do, keep their money, and keep their money away from those dirty working class hands. But the working class are the ones who deserve the money. I don't care what they think of us. They can think of us as dirty, but we have a right because they're exploiting us and they've exploited us for as long as capitalism has existed. That's why it's time for change. And I guess that finally, when this guy dies, I hope his media empire falls apart because then we might just get rid of multiple of the worst news outlets in the entire world at the same time. Now, I wouldn't be that hopeful. He's probably just gonna pass it on to some other ghoul, but we will have to see about that. And well, so that's my first video. What I want to talk about here is how the right wing media has demonized and tried to destroy the trade unions in the UK. But remember that we need to think internationally. This is not only about the UK. This is not only about my home country, Sweden. This is about the world. The world is at stake. Climate change is coming. I'm not saying capitalism can't fix it, although I don't think it will. But if it will fix it, it will be because us on the left has called these people out and has worked hard to ensure that the companies move to green energy. The pressure that we give out, we need we need to keep up the pressure on the corporations. We absolutely have to, because that is the way that we will be able to achieve some kind of political power and some kind of relevant change in all the countries over the world. We need to work together. We're working often in isolated pockets. The left in the US, the left in the UK, the left in Sweden, the left in Russia, whatever. Yeah, the left in Russia is probably pretty much dead at this point. But really, we need to work together. But we need to know our boundaries. Siding with tankies or even supporting them whatsoever, which means left-wing authoritarians, is a bad idea. It's a really bad idea. Don't side with tankies whatsoever, because then these news websites will be attacking the tankies and will be trying to drag in the broader left to criticize the broader left as well. So the tankies are currently being used by this media thing, and also, I mean, they're not very smart either way. We don't want them running the government. So, but we still need a united front. We need to not talk about a united front between different leftist ideologies. I'm sure as a libertarian socialist, I mean, I would probably be able to talk to a libertarian communist and that would be fine. We would probably agree on many things. But we need to remember, or even a social democrat for that matter, even though they, I think, are a little bit too little, they don't really propose massive change, which we need right now. The earth might die if we don't. Everything is obviously on the line. But what we need to do is also act internationally. It's not about leftism in our country, it's about leftism in the world. That's what it's about. And always remember that. But you guys in the UK are standing up. I appreciate that massively. I really do appreciate you people standing out on the picket line, standing out there striking, or even just supporting him. Even if it's only on Twitter. We will win this in the end. But we need to keep it up. And we're not going to stop. This is our fight. This is our future. And this is our lives that will be on the line, or our children's lives. Remember that. Peace out. See ya, Brits.